Well, everyone, you guys already know what had to happen. We kind of have a definite list of what could potentially be the supported devices on iOS 14. Now, to kind of bring you back, I was thinking that for a majority of time, really the iPhone 6s and the iPhone SE probably wouldn't get iOS 14, and the reason being is because that iPhone 7, more specifically that iPod Touch 7 Gen that came out, has the same chipset as the iPhone 7, and because the iPod Touch 7 just came out last year, I figured Apple might, extend that one an extra year, and maybe they could still do that. But with these new reports that are coming out by a ton of people, we're seeing kind of a different story, okay? So to kind of break it down, first of all the newer iPhones are going to be getting iOS 14, that's definitely a sure. The iPhone 11 Pros, that whole series, the iPhone XS, the iPhone 10, the iPhone 8s, the iPhone 7s, those are all pretty much guaranteed to get iOS 14. We are already kind of expecting that. So if you have those specific iPhones, then you're set. But here's the other thing. The iPhone 6s, the iPhone 6s Plus, and the iPhone SEs could potentially also be getting iOS 14 based on the new rumors that we're getting. So that's humongous news. Apple's really showcasing their support for these older devices, and honestly, I didn't think they had it in them. I didn't think they were going to go this far back, but that's super crazy. If you guys remember last year, and I was actually looking at some of my older videos, like there were rumors last year at this time that the iPhone 6s and the iPhone SE probably weren't going to get iOS 13, which is so crazy. And now we're seeing that Apple is probably going to be extending the software even newer to even older phones this time around, to the same phones that we didn't even think iOS 13 was going to get, which is so crazy. Now, some people are speculating this might be the case because when iOS 13 came out, it technically dropped support for two major iPhones that a lot of people still had at the time, which were the iPhone 5s, which I don't think most people own, but the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. A ton of people own those phones. Those were the best-selling iPhones, I believe, ever, really, and one of the best-selling phones of all time. And so that kind of makes sense for Apple to keep prolonging the older phones for now, because if they were to stop producing software and drop support for those two major iPhones and then another major iPhone right after, because a ton of people still use the 6S. I believe just within the last year, Apple actually kept selling the iPhone 6S in India and some other countries as well. I could be totally wrong, but I remember reporting about that at some point within the last year. So Apple could potentially keep supporting these older phones, which is awesome. Now, here's where the story gets a little bit different and maybe a little bit sad, but I'm not really even too sad about it. In terms of the iPad support, this is where things get a little bit different. So the newer iPads, like we already know, the iPad Pros, all the iPad Pros really, and all these standard iPads, the $200 or $300 ones, those ones are all going to be getting iPadOS 14 as well. So those are going to be getting those. All the iPads that are supported now on iPadOS 13, those are supposed to be getting iPadOS 14 as well, except for two major iPads, okay? And that's the iPad Air 2 and the iPad Mini 4. Those, I believe, have the Apple A8X chip or some standard variation of those chipsets. So it makes sense why those will probably not end up getting iPadOS 14. And I'm not really too sad about it. Like, I've owned both of those iPads. I've already reviewed them for this year, and I think it's okay. Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think iPadOS 13 is a very good stopping point for those iPads. It's not too crazy on those specific iPads, and iPadOS 13 has been pretty decent on iPads in general. Even though iOS 13 is kind of weird, iPadOS 13 has been kind of good throughout these last couple updates. So I'll definitely tell you, I think it's definitely good for the most part. But that's kind of the update right now. Those are the devices that, as of right now, could be getting iOS 14 and iPadOS 14. Now, it's not the end of the world if the 6S and SE don't get it, but it is going to be kind of stupid and kind of sad. So I remember last year, or even like a couple months ago, I talked about whether the iPhone 6S and SE are going to get iOS 14. I honestly didn't know. I was kind of saying no. But now with this new report, it kind of starts making a little bit more sense why they could support it. So, but with that being said, there's also some weird news about iOS 14 as well that could kind of be bad, which I'll talk about in a separate video, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But the specific video, those are the specific devices that could be supported for iOS 14, which is going to be pretty cool. So if you guys have any questions or you have any other things to add, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel, all those things are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.